Okay, be honest. Someone at your office got caught doing something messy, and now it's 11 p.m. and you're still thinking about it. Not because you're nosy, not because you're a bad person. Your brain thinks this information could save your life. Weird claim, right? Stick with me. 50,000 years ago, if you were the last person in your tribe to hear a piece of news, that wasn't awkward. That was fatal. Miss the memo that someone couldn't be trusted, and you might share your last water source with them. Miss the memo that the group was quietly deciding who to leave behind, and that person might be you. Being out of the loop didn't mean embarrassment. It meant exile. And exile, alone on the Pleistocene savanna, was basically a death sentence. So here's the real question. How did checking who's talking about who turn into a survival instinct baked directly into your brain? Let's go back. Way back. Picture the East African savanna, somewhere around 200,000 years ago. No phones, no group chats, just small bands of Homo sapiens, maybe 30 to 50 people, moving together for protection. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar has a theory about this, and it's a good one. He argues language itself didn't evolve for hunting tips or weather reports. It evolved for social bookkeeping. Basically, an upgrade to grooming. Chimps groom each other, picking through fur, one-on-one, for hours. It builds trust. But grooming only works for small groups. You physically can't groom 50 different chimps and still have time to eat. Talking solves that problem instantly. Suddenly you can groom multiple people at once just by trading updates. Who helped who? Who slacked off during the hunt? Who's been eyeing someone else's partner? That's not petty. That's data. Critical, life or death data, in a world with no police, no contracts, no background checks. Think about that. Gossip was the original credit score. It was the original Yelp review. Except instead of rating a restaurant, you were rating whether a person deserved your food, your protection, your trust when your back was turned. Get that wrong, and you don't just lose a friend. You lose your safety net. Now fast forward to around 300,000 years ago at a site called Jebel Irhoud in Morocco. Fossils there show something specific. Brain shape was still evolving toward the rounder, modern skull we have today, even after body shape had mostly settled. Researchers studying these remains have pointed to that late-stage rounding as tied to changes in the parietal and temporal regions, areas heavily involved in social processing and memory. In plain English, evolution kept upgrading the parts of the brain built for tracking people, long after it stopped upgrading the parts built for running and throwing. Your ancestors weren't just getting smarter. They were getting more socially wired, built to remember who did what to whom. But here's the thing. Tracking gossip is expensive. Brains burn a huge chunk of the body's daily energy just idling. So evolution doesn't build expensive tools for no reason. Which brings us to the real pivot. Here's what makes this so important. If gossip was expensive to run, but evolution kept the feature anyway, that means the payoff had to be massive. And it was. Some researchers argue social pressure from group living, not tool use, was the single biggest driver behind the explosive growth of the human brain over the last few 100,000 years. This is sometimes called the social brain hypothesis, and gossip sits right at the center of it. Not fire, not spears, gossip, and the need to track dozens of shifting relationships in your head at once. Same. I'd also rather remember who owes me a favor than memorize which rocks make good arrowheads. Turns out my brain agrees. Now let's talk law. Actual, formal law. Before written rules existed, before any king or council, small hunter-gatherer bands still needed a way to punish cheaters, freeloaders, and liars. You couldn't jail someone. There was no courtroom. So the punishment was reputational. Anthropologists studying groups like the Juhoansi of the Kalahari have documented exactly this. Constant, casual storytelling about who broke the rules, who shared unfairly, who bragged too much. That gossip functioned as real social law. Repeat offenders got quietly frozen out. Extreme cases got the group's protection pulled entirely. No prison, just silence, and the slow terror of being talked about instead of talked to. That's a death sentence with extra steps. Here's where it gets wild. Some researchers connect this same mechanism to why humans developed such an intense, specific hatred of freeloaders and cheaters, a trait that shows up in basically every human culture ever studied. We didn't just evolve to gather information. We evolved to punish based on it. Gossip wasn't a side effect of language. It might be one of the reasons language, memory, and even early morality exist at all. Let's jump forward again to somewhere around 10,000 years ago, as farming villages start replacing small nomadic bands. Groups get bigger, hundreds of people, then thousands. But the old software doesn't get deleted. Dunbar's research suggests the human brain caps out at meaningfully tracking around 150 stable relationships, a number now nicknamed Dunbar's number. Past that, the system strains. So what do you do when the village outgrows your hardware? You gossip harder. You rely on secondhand reports about people you haven't even met yet, just to keep the social map updated. That's not new behavior. That's the exact same Stone Age circuitry, just running on a bigger dataset. So here's the full picture. 200,000 years ago, talking replaced grooming as social glue. 300,000 years ago, brains kept rounding out specifically around social memory regions. Somewhere in between, punishment by reputation became humanity's first legal system. And 10,000 years ago, gossip became the patch that let tiny tribal brains survive massive, crowded societies. Every single step, escalating. Every step, still running in you, right now. So back to that office rumor keeping you up at night. You're not being petty. You're running 200,000-year-old threat detection software, the same software that once decided who got exiled and who got protected. Your brain isn't asking, is this juicy? It's asking, is this person safe? Maybe that's what it actually means to be human. Not tool users, not just talkers. The one species that turned watching each other into a survival strategy and never stopped. If this kind of deep history rabbit hole is your thing, there's more where this came from. See you in the next one.